Howdy, my name is Nonat, and today I'm going to be going over each of the basic conditions that can afflict a character in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Conditions are everywhere in Pathfinder. From being scared to being injured, there's a condition for that. While most conditions are negative, some of them are simply to denote the state of a character. Conditions usually have penalties associated with them, and it can get a bit overwhelming to memorize each of the unique conditions within the system. So to help get a grip on all of the different conditions within the Pathfinder 2e system, I'm going to go over most of the conditions listed on page 454 of the core rulebook. I'll be giving a brief description as well as going over the effects of the condition, if it has any. There are also some conditions that I won't be covering in this video, namely conditions that are related to disposition towards characters, related to the dying system, or any conditions related to stealth. Those can be their entire separate videos in the future. If you came to this video specifically looking for a certain condition, check the description. There are timestamps which will link you directly to whichever condition you're looking for. We'll be going in alphabetical order, starting with blinded. When a character is blinded, they are unable to see anything. They automatically critically fail perception checks that rely on sight, and can only move at half speed, since all terrain is considered difficult terrain for blind characters. A character also cannot be blinded and dazzled at the same time. Blinded will always override dazzled. Broken. An object is considered broken when its hit points are reduced below a certain threshold. The threshold is denoted by the BT on an item, or broken threshold, like on this shield with a BT of 6. If an item is broken, then its normal function cannot be used and provides no bonuses. The only exception to this rule is armor. If a player's armor is broken, which rarely happens, they simply take a penalty to their armor class depending on what type of armor they're wearing. Clumsy. If you become clumsy, all of your dexterity-based checks and DCs are reduced by the value of the clumsy condition. So if you are affected by Clumsy 2, then your armor class, reflex saves, ranged attacks, and dex-based skills are all hit with a -2 penalty. Concealed. If something is concealed, it means that it is being obscured in such a way that it cannot be easily targeted. It can still be seen, though it's hard to make out details. If the concealed character is targeted with any single target attack, spell, or ability, the attacker must first succeed a DC 5 flat check to even hit them before rolling their normal attack roll. Concealed targets are not safe from area effects, such as a fireball. Confused. While confused, a character is always flat-footed and treats enemies and allies equally. On your turn, you automatically use all of your actions to make strikes or offensive cantrip spells against the nearest character. If multiple characters are nearby, the target is picked at random by the GM, and if no characters are around, they will begin attacking themselves. Each time the confused character takes any damage, they attempt a DC 11 flat check to end the condition. Controlled. Someone else is commanding or dominating a controlled character. The controller decides what the controlled character does, how they use their actions on their turn, and the controller does not spend their own actions to do so. Dazzled. Flashing lights or wild colors can overstimulate a character's eyes. This causes them to become dazzled. While dazzled, all other creatures and objects are considered concealed. Deafened. A character cannot hear while deafened. They critically fail perception checks based on hearing, and take a -2 penalty to other perception checks if hearing is their primary source of perception. When attempting any action with the auditory trait, the character must succeed at a DC 5 flat check or lose the action. The character is also immune to all auditory effects. Drained. When a character has lost blood or life force, they become drained. Drained will have a higher value depending on the amount of blood lost. The character takes a penalty equal to the drained value on all constitution-based checks, such as fortitude saving throws, and they also lose a number of maximum hit points equal to their level times the drained value. So a 5th level character with drained 3 would reduce their maximum hit points by 15. A full night's rest will reduce the drained value by 1 and increase the character's max hit points by the reduced amount, though these hit points are not healed by the previous long rest. Encumbered. When a character is encumbered by carrying too much weight, they take on the Clumsy 1 condition and move at -10 to all speeds. Speeds cannot be reduced below 5 feet. Enfeebled. Anything that reduces a character's physical strength may cause enfeeblement. Enfeebled comes with a value, and all strength-based rolls and DCs are reduced by this value. Strength attack rolls, strength damage rolls, and athletics checks are affected by this. Fascinated. Something that has completely drawn a character's attention causes them to be fascinated. While fascinated, the character takes a -2 penalty to perception and skill checks and cannot use actions that contain the concentrate trait, unless that action specifically relates to the object of fascination. This condition automatically ends if a hostile action is taken against the fascinated character or any of its allies. Fatigued. A fatigued character is tired and lethargic. They take a -1 penalty to armor class and saving throws, and cannot choose to take the exploration activity. Fatigued is removed with a full night's rest. Flat-footed. A character that cannot focus on their own defense is considered flat-footed. They take a -2 penalty to armor class. Some attacks may not inflict the flat-footed condition directly, but may still treat the target as flat-footed. Many other conditions also inflict the flat-footed condition as a side effect. There are often cases where a creature may be considered flat-footed to some enemies, but not to others. Fleeing. A fleeing character must use all of their actions attempting to escape the source of the condition as fast as possible. They cannot use slow and careful movements like the step action and must move as far and fast as they possibly can. Frightened. Any character gripped by fear is frightened. Frightened always includes a value and reduces all checks and DCs by the value. Each turn, a creature's frightened condition is reduced by 1. Grabbed. If a character is being held in place by another creature, they are grabbed. Grabbed creatures become flat-footed and immobilized. Any action with the Manipulate trait must succeed at a flat DC 5 check while grabbed, or the action is lost. Immobilized. A character that is immobilized is unable to use any actions with the Move trait. If a force were to shove or move the character in any direction, the check rolled for the force, such as an athletics check for a shove action, would have to beat the DC of the immobilizing effect. Paralyzed. A paralyzed character can take no actions except to recall knowledge. They are also considered flat-footed. Their senses still work, though they cannot move their eyes in any way, so they can only see what is directly in front of them. Petrified. A character that is petrified is no longer considered a character. They become an object with a bulk of 12 for a medium creature, 9 armor class, and a hardness of 8. The character retains their original hit points. If the statue is ever destroyed, the character immediately dies. Prone. When a character is knocked to the ground, they become prone. While prone, they are flat-footed and take a -2 to all attacks made while prone. The only move actions available to them are crawl and stand. Standing ends the prone condition. While lying prone, a character can use the Take Cover action to gain a +4 circumstance bonus to armor class, though they still take the -2 for being flat-footed. Quickened. A quickened character gains 1 additional action per turn, though these actions are usually determined by the source of the condition. Quickened also only takes effect at the start of a character's turn, so casting the haste spell on oneself does not grant an additional action until the following turn. Restrained. While tied up or bound, a character is restrained. They are both flat-footed and immobilized, and cannot use any actions with the manipulate or attack traits. The only exceptions to this are the escape and force open actions to be used specifically on your bonds. Restrained always overrides the grabbed condition. Sickened. Anytime a character feels ill, they are sickened. Sickened comes with a value, and the character takes a penalty to all checks and DCs equal to this value. The character is also unable to ingest anything while sickened. A character can spend one action to force themselves to vomit, enabling them to make a fortitude save against the sickened effect, and if they succeed, reduce its value by 1. Slowed. A slowed character loses actions each turn. The amount of actions lost is equal to the value of the slowed condition. Slowed only takes effect at the start of your turn, so if you somehow become slowed by an enemy on your own turn, you don't lose any actions. Stunned. A stunned character has been knocked senseless. Stunned always comes with a value, and the character loses actions each turn equal to the stunned value. Then, after regaining their actions, they reduce their stunned condition value by the amount of actions they were denied. For example, if a character was stunned 5, then on their following turn they would lose all 3 actions. Their turn would be skipped, but their stunned condition would drop from 5 down to 2 because of the 3 lost actions. Stupified. When a character's thoughts are cloudy and muddled, they are stupified. Stupified always comes with a value, and the character takes a penalty to intelligence, wisdom, and charisma checks and DCs equal to the value. In addition, casting a spell while stupified requires a flat check with a DC of 5 plus the stupified value. If the caster fails the flat check, the spell fizzles and the action is lost. And aside from a few specific outliers, that is all of the conditions you should run into in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I know it seems like some stuff was left out, poisoned, diseased, cursed, but those are not considered conditions in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Those are actually their own separate mechanics, and I'll be going over those sometime in the future. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing and ring the bell to know exactly when the next video goes live. I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow for the Monk Guide. A huge thank you to all of my wonderful patrons, including Trevor, aka The Conqueror, Quidthulu, Troy Hughes, Paul Rand, and the rest of my wonderful supporters. I really appreciate it, guys. You can find links to my Patreon as well as our community Discord server right in the description. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, no nat ones.